stuff to talk about today that will help families, even if they're not in the kingdom, even if they're not in believing in Messiah, even if they're not believing in the church. This will bless the lives of many who listen and have opportunity and desire to learn and aspire towards the things of Yahweh, who is and shall always be our Elohim. So we're asking you right now to join in with us as we begin to take our time for prayer right now. All right, everybody, since you're here with us, if you're on Facebook, go ahead, hit that heart sign, hit that like sign. Let us begin the process that is the proceeding word. Father, we come before you in the mighty and the matchless and the precious and the most magnanimous name of Yahushua HaMashiach. There is literally none like you in all the earth, and we're grateful because of who you are and why you are in our lives. We're asking today that you would keep us in every possible way, share with us every possible thing, give us everything that we might need to know about you. This day, we know we enter into another opportunity at life that we had not had previously. Help us to live it right in your will. We acknowledge you in all your way, all our way, that we will, in fact, allow you to direct our lives. We repent for any and all thoughts, sins, ideas, mindsets, anything that could have transgressed your will for our life this day. We come before you and say, please take control of our lives. We desire nothing but you and all things you to grace us and grant us with how to be kingdom in the earth that has become so religious, so traditional. Help us understand where you are desiring us to be. Show us your intentions through the word, because man can't live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of you, Yahweh, who is our Elohim. We honor you for this. We exalt you for this, and we bow down our head, believing Yeshua HaMashiach, who lived, died, and rose again by Yahweh's great power to guide us into a place where we would be made in good stead with the Father, the creator of heaven and earth and all that therein dwells, giving us opportunity at the chance and the tree of life eternal that Adam allowed for us to forfeit in his consuming of that which Yahweh said not to consume, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We now come to the second Adam, Yeshua HaMashiach, and we lay our request at your feet, and we ask you to grace us with the wisdom to be in right stead with the divine El Elyon. This we pray in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen. Well, I'm glad to see you guys. It's hump day. Y'all about to get through this week. You're making it. You're going to persevere. You're going to be where you need to be. I'm hoping that you understand the necessity for you to work your way through, no matter what seems to be coming at you. Everything in your life is designed. Everything in your life has a plan to make you better, make you greater, not make you bitter, but make you better. Remember, Yahweh wants to make you better, not bitter. Though the situation has the authority and the power to make you choose, but the choice is yours. Watch this. You can choose the letter E for Elohim, or you can choose the letter I for pride, right? See, bitter and better are spelled with the same amount of letters, and only the transition of one letter right after the B determines the word's intent. Now, if you take this beautiful little play on word and understand that E comes before I, watch this. Elohim comes before I. In order for me to be, Elohim had to create me, right? So A, B, C, D, E, the fifth letter. F, G, H, I, J, right? That's way down the line, right? So E comes before I. Elohim comes before I. Elohim comes before pride. And therefore, if I put that E before I go to pride, no matter what hits me, I'll always be better and never bitter. Come on, give Yahweh some praise. Say, I'm gonna be better today. 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 My brother Core, good to see you, man. It's an awesome thing to have you with us today. Listen, we want to finish up our conversation. Many of you had gotten started, and I want you guys to share this. Well, you don't have to share it. I think it's just good information, and we want to make sure that people learn from this as best as we can, how to do things a certain way, even beyond ways we have cut our teeth on and literally have ingrained our psyche, our children, our homes, our lifestyles with. Let's get to the intention of Elohim. So we taught you on last program, the proceeding word, that Yahweh's plan and rule per Torah for family is based in his word. And we're going to come back after our moderators tell you why we're here, to explain to you how Yahweh started it all. Moderators, tell me, why are we here? All right. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you guys get opportunity to run with us on the ideals and the concepts that we will be here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the proceeding word, because man does not live by bread alone. So this coming Friday, we'll be back here again. But then we also have with us tonight, we'll be coming back for our Bible study tonight, and we'll be teaching on a topic that, you guys want to tune into, because we're going to be sharing with you how we live in the kingdom as opposed to how we have been taught to live to God through church. But we want to show you the intentions of Elohim. In every Bible study, you learn something new, something dynamic, something most impressive. As well, on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will also be moving into what is known, 1 and 7. We have what is known as our Bible book club. So we want you to make sure you tune in for that. For those of you who have never read the Bible all the way through, more importantly, for those who have read the Bible all the way through, we read it just a little bit different. We read it slow. So at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 7 p.m. every Thursday, we'll be having what we know as the Bible Book Club. You're welcome to join here anytime you come in. And guess what? It's a Bible book club. It's not a teaching, but you will learn. But all of us who tune in, are to talk about what we're talking about when we're reading the Bible. And we're also Sabbath keepers. So what we do every Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, is we have what we call Sabbath studies. We call them Midrash. And in the Midrash, we teach, we learn, we talk all things Torah in alliance and accordance to the instructions of Elohim, both in the book of Shemot, chapters 20, verses 8 through 11, and in compliance with Isaiah chapter number 58, verses 13 through 14, which give us the best way to do and demonstrate Sabbath keeping, where we don't speak our own things, we only speak his word. So you're more than welcome to come as we study in those times as well. Once we're done with all of that, from Friday at sundown till Saturday at sundown, which is the Sabbath, that 24 hours, we then have a traditional service you all call Sunday morning service. We call it Morrow After Sabbath service. And that is every Sunday for our traditional Christian church service, 10:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you can say, I did church on Sunday. Well, that's our official flagship service that everyone is invited to. And we're hoping that you all will tune in and join in with us at Darash Kingdom Ministries. All right. And so then we start back over in that week with our Monday proceeding word, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time each day. And so as we get back now to our broadcast that is already in order and in play, let us talk about why we are here. How many of y'all gonna be better and not bitter? Anybody still want to be better and not bitter? Anybody still want to be better and not bitter? Come on, talk to me. We don't want anyone bitter. We want everyone better. Nobody bitter. We want everyone better. Nobody bitter. We want everyone better in this program and in this process. Mods, please make sure that we send invites to all those who've been tucked away. All right, so we want to get back into this. Now, we have some questions that left us. If you came in on Facebook, hit that heart sign, hit that thumbs up sign, make a comment, And you can also share this because this should be instrumental in everybody's life. So we talk about the structure of the Torah observant family. Somebody makes it seem like, oh, you're trying to lock us into some Hebrew Jewish stuff. Well, it's not so much Hebrew Jewish stuff as much as it is that as a Christian, as a 100% Protestant Christian, I'll even go as far to say as a Catholic Christian, which is what the Protestants protest, but it's because of Catholicism that you are a Christian, not because of Jesus Christ. The only reason you're a Christian is because Catholic nicknamed him Christos. And then he gave him the name Jesus. Jesus Christ is why you're a Christian. And now, when Christianity ran into a conflict, they split. Someone protested Roman Catholicism, Christianity. Now you and I are called Protestant Christians. We just never made the full correction that Catholicism started as a religion, and now we are living as Protestant Christians, categorized as Protestant Christians protesting Roman Catholicism and its Christianity version. We have our own version of Christianity, i.e. the protest. But we're protesting the very thing we're still doing. So when you hear us use terms like Torah, that is not to say that we are not in that categorization. It's to say, this is how you have to start looking at it, because you're protesting the name you were given in error. And to get the right name, you don't become, no disrespect, you don't become a Jew, you don't become a Hebrew Israelite, no disrespect to any of those synagogues or camps. That's not what we're doing. You must understand, to understand the intention of the Creator, who both Judaism, Hebrew Israelites, Christians, Christendom in general, both Protestant and Catholic, as well as other groups such as, you can go forever on these groups, Seventh-day Adventists, which is Christian, Jehovah's Witnesses, who believe in Elohim but don't like Yeshua, technically, and all those other elements that talk about the God of creation, the God of the book of Genesis, the God of the book of Genesis, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Whether you are a Catholic Christian, a Protestant Christian, a rogue Christian, whatever you are, whoever believes in he who is in the book of Genesis throughout the book of Revelations called the Bible, your Bible was written not in English, not in Greek, not in Aramaic. Your Bible was written in Hebrew. And the definitions and the translations and the transliterations from the Hebrew authors lost a lot of impact and intention as it got translated by other dominating governments who made the Torah and the Tanakh translated into their languages. So when you hear me say things of Torah, we are not some cult who does not believe in he who hung on the cross, prophesied to die, literally died, literally rose again, and is soon to come again for our extraction from this world. And yes, there will be a rapture, because there was a killing of a lamb. And because that lamb, in the process of being crucified, resurrecting, is now the Lion of the tribe of Judah, and he will sit over the new heaven and the new earth. So this part is what we believe. If you're a Christian in any capacity, then you can't pick and choose this stuff out your Bible. It is what it says, and it's not lied. It has not, the Bible and its prophecies have not lied to us. And therefore, when you hear us speak about these different elements and types of things, we want you to understand we are speaking Torah because it is the Hebraic element of what you call the Pentateuch. The only reason it's called the Pentateuch is because it's the first 5 books, Penta. Just like you got Pentecost, it was the 50th day, Penta. That's Greek, and it does not give the full definition for what Torah means. Some of you get deep and you want to call it the Septuagint. That is also a Greek render in a different relative space and piece, but it is not the fullness of what Torah does. The book of the Torah is, in fact, the instructions of the Creator for humanity to demonstrate his kingdom in the earth, and it surrounds itself around the theme character of the Messiah, who the Catholic Church translated and called Christos, the Christ. That's how you got your name. Now, we're not coming to destroy all of that. We're coming to inform you, because remember, your Bible says in all you're getting. Can somebody tell me what we're supposed to get in all you're getting? Get what?
Understanding.
Right. So if you got it, you better understand it. Many of y'all got Christendom. Many of y'all got this thing called Christ, and you don't understand it. Now, that's deep. So when we hear talk about this, we're saying to you that today we want to talk about the strength and the structure of the family that Yahweh created. The family Yahweh intended, the structure of the family for a successful family begins with Torah observancy, because the instruction came from the Torah, the words of Elohim for humanity in the world Elohim made. Now, when you start to break things down that way, you then have a little bit of ease about having to relearn or unlearn what you learned, so that you can now be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Oh, that's in your Bible too. And it was written by a Hebrew gentleman who believed in the religion of his day until he found out his religion is not what saved him, but his acknowledging at the road to Damascus the person Yeshua HaMashiach. Then, after the road to Damascus, he went back to all of them that he knew from coming up as a child and told them and explained to them, we need to be transformed. We need to go back and renew in our mind all the information that the Pharisees and Sadducees at the temple taught us, so that the person I met on the road to Damascus, you can better understand and know. It's different, doesn't it? Only when you take the time to read the Torah and you understand what the Apostle Paul, a Hebrew, also responsible for 2/3 of the New Testament, was trying to communicate to the people he was trying to reach. So when we talked last, we talked about the structure of Elohim, about the family. And so when we talk about Torah, it's known as the 613 commandments, which are of Elohim to humanity. And so many people thought that the first commandment of God was, thou shalt not have any other gods before me. Interesting, that wasn't the first commandment of Elohim. So one of the 613 mitzvah, the commandments of Elohim, was the very first one, which was, watch this, verse number 26 in chapter 1 of the book of Bereshit. Bereshit 1:26 goes on to tell us and let us know that Yahweh says, please catch this, be fruitful and multiply. That's a commandment he gave to humanity. The first commandment Yahweh gave to humanity was be fruitful and multiply, thus laying the premise and the indictment for a communal existence in the earth, and one that would be conscious of what was bore and who or what bore that which was bore. Okay, so let me say that again in plain English, or different type of expression. It expresses and sets an indictment for communal existence between the humans, One would bring children and bring life, new adults through the process of growing and through the process of fetal and the fetus and the baby and the water and the birthing and the child growing and then the child through adolescence and then adulthood. That whole process would be used and created from a relationship between a man and a woman, bringing another life form into the earth, another life after its kind into the earth. Just like the trees, I taught you about that earlier this week. Just like the trees, they have fruit that bear their own and have their own seed within them. So you and I are fruit of our parents, and we still bear the seed of who we are as human species in us. Now, is there a cross-pollination process like the bees and the flowers? Absolutely. It's an ecosystem. Yahweh already instructed us what to do. We took it and went left with it. Now, when we talk about the family, the first commandment Yahweh gave was for humanity to be blessed. He blessed them, he baruched them, and he told them to be fruitful, multiply. He wanted us to fill the land. He wanted us to conquer the earth, the Adoma, and he would give us also rule in addition to not only the Adoma, but also the fish, the little fishy of the sea, and the birds who were made from day 5, which would be that which was made from the sea. So he gave us the fowl and he gave us the fishies. And then he says, along with everything that I took out of the Adoma, I want Adam to have dominion over. And then I want Adam to reproduce and take care of the ground. Now, let's get back to the family. So the first reason for why a man or a woman would come together and have children isn't because of love. It's technically because of a need for workers, because tilling the ground was the job Yahweh gave humanity. And then once man took his job that Yahweh gave humanity, Yahweh made another deal. He took out of man an element within man and said, you're going to need help externally accomplishing the contract you and I have made, tilling the ground. So here is your best resource to accomplish that. So he pulled out of humanity the womb. And by giving the womb to the male factor, which would be in a separate body, they were able to work in tandem external of the pulchritude called Adam to accomplish the charge of their new contract. Mind you, for those of you who think I've lost my mind, here is what we must understand, and all you're getting good understanding. Humanity was made male and female in one body. So if you're watching me online, you'll see me putting my hands together, and man was made male and female in one body. But what Yahweh did was, when he gave man his job, he says, I don't have a man to till the ground. So he put man on the earth, male and female, in one body. Then once he gave man his job, man said, yes, I'll do it. Yahweh says, great, you're going to need a partner to help you do that. And it's not good for you to be all one. Just listen. It's not good to be all one. And I want you to understand this because it's extremely important to realize the purpose of all things. He wants you, moderators, watch my Facebook page, please. He wants you to realize that there is this element here. He wants you to realize, moderators, please take care of my Facebook page. He wants you to realize the elements here that man was made one, but male and female. And when he put man into a position to do a job, somebody say business.
Business.
A job. That's right. This was a job. This was business. When he put man there to do a job, a business, he says, not only that, I'm going to help you understand. I'm going to help you to do your job more efficiently externally. So he took out of man, it's not good for you to be all one. He took out of man the womb man and gave her her own pulchritude and said, now, I want y'all to work together just like you would have worked as one, but I want you, though separate, to still remember you are to do this as one. Oh, and reproduce of your kind. See, people don't realize that when Yahweh took womb man out of human man, masculine combination, then the cross-pollination had to happen with them becoming one in a conjugating way. But when they were one, it was sort of kind of an asexual scenario where they could reproduce without having another type of mate. You have that experience with some of the reptiles and the frogs, the amphibious, the toads. Some of our toads can reproduce without a mate. And then yet they can reproduce with a mate, right? So humanity would literally be able to be reproduced. Humanity could be reproduced by itself. Now, when Yahweh separated the womb, gave it its own pulchritude, and then the masculinity and the brawn of the masculine man and the femininity of the womb man, now they come together to produce another human. And then they would be masculine or feminine, and they would also have to, in perpetuity, come together to produce its kind. We got to get that part understood so you can realize that the purpose for the first man and the first woman to have a child was to aid them in their efforts of the business of tilling the ground. Now, we talked about this a little bit, so much so that Yahweh now puts in other commandments. He gives another mitzvah later on in the Torah when he says that children of parents should honor their father and their mother, that their days may be long and prosperous upon the land which Yahweh gave you. Okay. And in that, you have this innate respect or this taught philosophy that the child and the mother and father are to love a certain way. And then we dressed it up and we've made it traditional. And now we've gotten sometimes beyond the reality that our children can actually decide not to love us because they're humans. You don't own them. They're Yahweh's. But you need them. That's why you reproduce them in the earth. And that whole concept before we've gone into sin was what the instructions was trying to do. We had changed all of that. But the original instructions, and all you're getting, get understanding, the original instructions were for humanity to reproduce itself, to perform the business function of tilling the ground. Anybody need me to take a break and let y'all think about that for a second? I'm gonna drink some tea for a quick second in case y'all want to say amen or I don't understand or make a cue so we can ask questions. Now, some of you think that I may be too wordy, but I would have to say, with all due respect and in proper response, we may be in a rush. So when someone's making a slow cook, we want fast food rather than a meal cooked by a chef in a stove with an oven and a whole countertop and kitchen prepared for chefdom. Does anybody know the difference between fast food at McDonald's and a home cooked meal by mama, grandmama who could cook?
Come on now. Oh, yeah.
So if you find that we're too wordy and obnoxious and get on your nerve, that's because you want fast food. That's down the street. There's a whole bunch of institutions that are open. You can go to them and you can give them your money and get something to slide down a little chute like the bank. And being some rap, you can take it out and eat it while you're driving, or you can just listen to this and while you're driving, learn the ingredients for making this at your own home once you get there, so you don't have to spend money at an institution designed to take your money.
Say that again. Amen.
Now, here is where we go. One thing about the family structure of Yahweh is that Yahweh told us very clearly, honor your father and your mother. And in the Hebrew, that's one of the 10 commandments. And then there are several verses that back up that part because it connects us with the family. He says, honor your father and your mother, Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. Honor your father and your mother in order that your days will be lengthened upon the land that Yahweh your Elohim has given you. And then if you go to Exodus chapter 21, verse 15, he makes this very interesting statement that sort of supports two things you and I love to talk about. And that is the Torah. But watch what he says. Shemot 21:15. He who smites his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. Now, in that day and that dispensation, not in this one, we now have laws and rules and regulations because we've left the laws, the rules, and regulations of Torah. But when they put a child to death because they punch, they smoke negatively or violently their parenthood, it was to remove that spirit of one, disobedience, rebellion, and unruliness from amongst the tribe. It was very effective at keeping people to realize that if you do this, that's your consequence. And everybody in the camp was responsible for producing the consequence, i.e., stoning. And so whenever the elders would find that this child was guilty of the allegations that the parents have raised, and it was an actual court type hearing, then the actual community would come, stones gathered, and they would all know why this particular entity was being removed from the existence. And again, people, these are things we don't like to talk about. They seem very, very awkward. But until you get to understand the culture, what makes it awkward, you will never be able to walk in the kingdom mindset today and say properly, I'm in this world, but not of this world. Now, are we enforcing, endorsing, or in any way endorsing that if a child smites its mother or its father, that you put it down? No, that we have laws that prohibit all of that. And Yahweh has always given us the understanding that we need to obey the laws of the land. But in that day, back then, when the kingdom had preeminence in the earth, when David, Saul's, Moshe's, Samuel's, Solomon's reign as kings had preeminence, had dominance, had the prominence and the eloquence in the land, those were things that they adhered to, and it kept the people on one accord. That kept the people realizing at a very well-structured stage how to please the Father and keep the community without unnecessary ingraining, unnecessary drama, unnecessary disobedience, and exposure to other types of spirits that run against the faith of Torah from coming in. I hope I'm not too wordy, but I want y'all to really get this in proper order. So when Yahweh says in Exodus 21, Shemot 21:17, he who curses his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. And curse doesn't mean cuss. Cuss and curse are two different things. But we want to talk about the family structure of Elohim. You did not disrespect, and we say disrespect sort of kind of casually. But you could always say, I don't agree with this mom or dad. But when you curse them, all right, people will say, well, the prodigal son should have been put to death based on how he treated his father. No, he never cursed his father. He disagreed with his father's way of him proceeding as now an adult who came from his father's reign, his father's home. He never cursed his dad. He disagreed with the way his father did things. Anybody got some children you sent to college and now they come back and make you tell you that you don't know what you're talking about? Nobody? Okay. We're going to keep moving. And so when you hear in Shemot 21:17, he who curses his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. Again, that dispensation, that time. Does that instruction die because of the dispensation? No, the instruction is still very much real. The issue is we now have, by this way we live with the laws of man now, we have to make and be transformed by renewing what we thought we knew and understand about the laws of the land. Therefore, if we let it pass legislation, then that's what it is. Now, I'm not telling you again, somebody curse you. My child cursed at me. No, that's cussing. If your child curses you or someone curses a person back then, they basically said, God damn that person. David would say, David said in one of his statements in the book of Psalms, David said, this was funny. David says, Father, my enemy is against me. I'm paraphrasing. He says, my enemy is against me, Yahweh. And I'm tired of them. They get on my nerve. They keep bothering me. And every time I turn around, there they are. I let them go. I try to let bygones be bygones, but they keep coming for me. Every time I think I'm out, they come back for me again. He says, so to make sure that I don't have this problem again, Father, I'm asking you to bend their back down backwards always. I want you to bend them down backwards. So if you and I got on our knees and our elbows, right, and touch the ground, that's a proper bend. David said, I want you to bend them down backwards, put them on their back, and then have their pelvic pushed up to the sun and let them crawl around on the ground that way. Not crawl like we crawl naturally. Make them bend them down backwards and then have that's a curse. People don't understand that that's what David said. Do y'all get that? There's just two of us. That's a curse. That's a curse, right? So when you curse your father and your mother, yes, Wanda Clark, it does hurt when you think about it, but that's exactly what he wanted done. So when someone wants a curse to befall you, like Balaam and Balak, that's a curse. We're trying to curse the lineage, the heritage, the prosperity, the functionality, the existence of a people. That's cursing. Cussing is different. And I want the Christian church to stop having people trip because you think cursing and blessings ought not come out the same mouth means the SHI word and the BIT word and the F word and all those other words are curses. That's cussing. I'm going to say it again. That's cussing, not cursing. And because of the phonetic, we just let it slip right into the parameters. And now we're saying, if you say you ain't supposed to be cussing, you shouldn't be cussing because there are better words in our vocabulary to use than the words we have used quite freely, quite well, and quite meaningfully in the vernacular of the English language and others, right? Because, I was known for a couple of cuss words quite well myself, all right? But cursing and blessings are not cussing and blessings. Can I get just one amen from about 2 people and I'm good?
Amen. Amen.
And so religion's effort to keep you from doing that was noble, but very much inaccurate. And you shouldn't, you can find better words to use than the vulgarity that we've seen. I will admit, though, there had been times I felt that the vulgarity was the language that the people I was trying to communicate to spoke best. So I just obliged them so they could get my meaning since they wasn't understanding my proper English. I'm just putting it out there.
Same truth. Same truth.
I'm just going to put it out there. You know what I mean? And since I knew both languages, that's the only one you knew, and I'm going to talk to you the way you talking to me. Or I would say, you know what? I don't talk like that. So change your language so we can talk. Otherwise, if that's the only way you know how to talk, this ain't that serious for me. We can't have a conversation until you learn how to talk the regular English. Now, if it's serious enough for me and it's valued by me, then I may talk back to you in your language you prefer so you can understand me clearly, so we have no miscommunications. So don't get it twisted. Apostle know how to cuss. Shabbat. And I know how to speak in tongues. Y'all know that's another language, right?
Yes, sir.
Some of y'all like, oh, he's so carnal.
Yeah,
You so
it's real though.
He's so carnal. That's why y'all need to stop listening to that man.
Keep it real. Keep it real.
Jesus has revealed he's just a heretic. Okay, all right. Now, let's go back. Let's go back to this other element. In Leviticus chapter number 19 and Vayikra 19:3. Here is one I want y'all to remember. When Yahweh gave instructions for the family, he did something that you will probably appreciate if you are with us on the preceding word. Now, I want y'all really to pay attention to this. Somebody please bring my moderators down in the other room down here up, please. I need to have them all on platform. Hey, Radiant, I need you up here. Ace, good to see you, brother. So listen to this real quick. No, we're not cussing, Elder Faison. We're not advocating cussing, y'all. I'm having a comedic moment, and I hope that you guys understand that is comedy. Cussing, I think, there are a lot more words. A cuss word is a Ebonic word, depending on your denomination or your ethnicity and your language and your dialect. They are all Ebonic words used to express a emotion or feeling that already has a word in the Oxford Dictionary, the Webster Dictionary that can explain it, but you just feel like doing it home style. So cussing in the civilization you and I live in is uncouth. Cussing is it's uncouth. There are other words that can explain and express what you're trying to express through that. But now, if y'all want to be honest, because I don't want to go to hell for sitting here fronting, I was having a comedic moment.
That's okay, sir.
I know it's okay because I'm grown, but here's the point I want to make. There are certain words that certain people understand better than the words in my dictionary. Know them that dwell among you. So before you feel like you can bring somebody who's never read a dictionary up to your level of intellect via the dictionary, you may need to abase yourself to be where they are. Now, don't take yourself down to a place that degrades you. But, I'm just trying to say that where the Christian church went, the left was trying to help people not be uncouth and connecting it to a biblical instruction, and the two are not connected. Cussing and cursing are not the same thing. Okay? And I know more cussing Christians than you care to admit. And those who act like they don't are the ones that do the most because they're embarrassed that they did at one time and went on a campaign to make sure they can get themselves free from it. And then somebody cut them off in the road. Somebody didn't hit the signal right. Somebody slowed down in front of them, and poof, what they thought they was free of came right at their mouth. I'm going to put that out there and let y'all hang with that. Let's move on.
Yes, yes.
And so this is proceeding word job. We having fun on hump day, okay? We're having fun on a hump day. So no, we're not cursing. Barbara Faison said there's also a lot of emojis, okay, that can help us with some stuff we're trying to say. Good one, Elder Faison. So now let's go back to this next part. Leviticus 19, Vayikra 19, verse 3. This one I want y'all to pay attention to because it's an instruction from on high. Watch this, about the business structure called family that we need to pay attention to. Thank you, Spencer. Verse, y'all go to 19:3. Vayikra 19:3. Leviticus 19:3. I want y'all to read it while I say it. And I'm going to be reading from the Jewish translation of the Bible, but you guys can do it from the King James Version as well. Listen to this. A man, comma, his mother and his father shall that man fear. And then Yahweh says, also, my Shabbats shall that man who fears his mother and father, that man shall guard my Shabbat. I am Yahweh your Elohim. Now, that's a very interesting piece because I don't know how we just skip right by that with modern day Christendom and don't realize that the Sabbath is supposed to be not only honored, but guarded. Did y'all ever read that before?
No, sir. First time. No, sir. No, not at all. Yes, sir.
How's that hit y'all? Say your name, come off mute, say your name, please, so we can talk about it for a couple seconds. We're going to have a moderator break, and then we're going to go for our next piece. How's that hit you?
It's Mama D.
Mama D, go ahead. You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, that hits home, actually, and I will present it to a young man I love. Never thought about that particular.
Right.
Never thought about it. So I will definitely present it. Thank you.
You're more than welcome, Mama D. Thank you for your input, insight. All right, anybody else come off mic, say your name. You got 30 seconds. Go. I'm going to repeat the verse just to reset this, not the room, but reset this piece, which is connected to the reset of the room. A man, his mother, and his father shall he fear. Meaning revere. Revere, not be afraid of, oh my God. No, fear, revere, respect, appreciate. The next part of that verse says, and my Shabbats shall that same man guard. Now, some of you have been trying to teach people about Sabbath and Shabbat since you've been doing it. How many of y'all see that as a reinforcement of Yahweh about his times and his days?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
I will definitely work on that.
Hey, that's right. Thank you, Mama D. Anybody else come off of mute? Okay. All right. So let's move on then. So let's just talk about this. So when you understand now that Yahweh has a complete structure for the children, he has a complete structure for the family, and the family is a business unit. And the worst thing you can do within a community is to divide the family. I'm saying things in a very general way because I want you to connect the dots and not me have to tell you what we're trying to say, because I want you to get it. Otherwise, I'm peddling my own issue to you. But I want you to really get this. And when you listen to the words, it should make you think about some of the communities that have been decimated by the separation of the father and the mother from the children, and or the children from the father and the mother. Matter of fact, if you want a real good slave, the best thing you can do is take away its support system and make it dependent on you.
Wow.
All right, so we're on the proceeding word. Now, you and I have to understand that Yahweh has given a command to keep the earth, and it requires a family and a community of families to do that. And the communities of families, no child prior to Torah was, well, not no, but the emphasis for reproduction of life was not based on love. I'm going way back, y'all. Come on. I hope y'all don't leave me out here. It's the proceeding word. You can, but I don't need you to respond. But if you would like to, feel free to, because I want you to understand this. And some people will disagree with this, but you need to take your time and understand that what we do today in having children is based on a premise of this construct. You ready? It says, when you get married, you should grow up to get married. And when you get married, you should have some children. And then y'all should live happily ever after. Nobody told you why to have children, and you thought you had children strictly based on love. And then when you love your wife and you love your husband, you should want to give them a child. Prior to Torah, which is still a part of the mitzvah in the book of Bereshit, the book of Genesis, the reasoning for coming together was based on a commandment of Yahweh, which was to help the business that he put man into to be accomplished well. I know y'all don't like this conversation. I'm okay dealing with the backlash from it too, but I really want y'all to hear it and consider. There was not a reason. The only reason for you to bring forth a child was because it was a commandment. Love was not attached to it. There was no, oh, I love him, I love her so much, oh, let's have sex. It was a command to reproduce. It was a charge. It was a task. It may have felt good, but it was still a task. It was a charge. There was no, the preeminence or the prerequisite was not love.
Not me.
Are y'all understanding what's being said here? I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to think about that. And I'm hoping we get some questions to come back and say, Apostle, what is you talking about, Mr. Apostle, man? You act like, so formulate your question. I'll give you 30 seconds to come back. Moderators, tell us why we're here.
Shalom and good afternoon to each and every one of you, and thank you for joining us here today in the preceding word. The subject for today is the structure of Torah Observant family. We just want to acknowledge that you are here with us in the preceding word. So while I go through these announcements, why don't you, if you haven't done so already, take the time to click on the greenhouse to become part of the preceding word family. You can also follow Apostle or any of the moderators here, so you'll always be informed of every time we open a clubhouse room. Don't forget, we are here every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can join us tonight under Darash Kingdom Ministries for our weekly Bible study, where we broadcast at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you continue to enjoy studying, we also extend an invitation to you to join us tomorrow, Thursday at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. for our weekly Bible book club where we come together to study the book of Genesis. So you don't want to miss that. Also to note, we do honor the Sabbath here, and we begin our Sabbath study on Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And all we do is go through the Torah. That's from Genesis to Deuteronomy. And then we pick those studies back up again at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning. We are a fully operational and functional ministry, I am so proud to say. And here at Direct Kingdom Ministries, we have our morrow after Sabbath service. So we open the doors for you to come and join us at Sunday at 10:15 a.m. every Sunday morning. We broadcast live through Facebook. You can find us at BWJ Ministries, and we open those doors to invite you to join us here via Clubhouse. If you haven't done so already, do share the room, and we do hope you're enjoying today's discussion. Apostle, we're handing back to you. Shalom.
Thank you again. I'm so glad. I think we've got the best minds on the planet. So at the end of the day, I want us to look at this so we can get it in truth that we were born in a different time than this instruction was given, and then augmented before even our parents came in. And now we are stuck with a concept that was not the original instruction and the conceived idea. So we've associated making children with being married, and it should be. Okay, you should have children in your marriage, and the Torah does give us this way of rephrasing that. But the point is that making children was not based on making love. How do y'all feel about that? Wanda Clark, grab a true, and I got Janet after that. Moderators, make sure my cue is straight. Anybody, if you got a statement, just say it. Come off mute, say your name, and we'll grab you. Wanda Clark, you're first. Go.
I guess first of all, I need to say this. It's a hard pill to swallow to recondition what you're saying.
Isn't it?
Yes, it is.
No, it really is. Because I was like choking on this. I'm like, oh God. But go ahead.
And so what I want to say, let me say this to your credit. When you say something, the spirit hits me. So I understand it's true. I'm not going to try. Sometimes your spirit want to fight for something that you feel is wrong, but I don't feel it's wrong. I feel it's right. Now, moving forward from that, what I was thinking when you were going into the break for the Mars, I was thinking perhaps there wouldn't have to be a dispensation of grace if with the previous dispensation, we would have followed that. I don't know, how the evolution of us coming to this part of it, but perhaps if we were doing the stoning and we were doing the things that Yahweh said in the Torah from the inception, we wouldn't have to get to this dispensation of grace. And to be able to, the family wouldn't be where it's at today and years before, hundreds and hundreds of years ago to go. So the evolution of us having to have the dispensation of grace probably was in the
there'd be no need for it. If Adam would have followed the instructions and not eaten of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, we would not be dealing with the theology of dispensations.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
That's a fact. And people don't like to talk about that. But the reality is, as a matter of fact, if man would have kept Torah, we may have had, even after Adam's failure of keeping the first mitzvah, the first commandment, because we thought the first commandment was don't eat the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That wasn't the first commandment. The first mitzvah, the first commandment was, in fact, be fruitful and multiply. And then don't eat the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Okay. But if he had kept the mitzvah, matter of fact, watch this. This is deep. This is really deep. This is really deep. If he had begun the first mitzvah of reproducing, Adam was basically deficient in 2 commandments.
Wow.
Think about it. We don't know how long they was in that garden. And there are arguments that they were there maybe a couple hundred years There's arguments. They was in there for a couple days before this conversation with Yahweh happened. But we do know for a fact that there was a time that they met in the cool of the day. But specifically on this one, when he says, Adam, where are you? That sounds more like a Shabbat. Because Yahweh's presence comes into the earth during Shabbat to sit with humanity. And you weren't there. So how long Adam and Ishai were in the earth, no matter what, they had not reproduced. The commandment was reproduce in the earth and fill it with your species so y'all can have dominion over it. They had no children. They didn't keep the commandment. Before their transgression. And then before that transgression, that's 2 commandments you didn't keep. Now that's technical. That's Christian don't want to hear that, and that's when the people tell you, Apostle Jones, he just does too much. Y'all just be doing too much. Can't y'all just wear, your polyester hats and go to church and take communion? And be okay. I was waiting for somebody to respond because y'all took that and like, yeah, let's just do it that way. I'm trying to figure out, am I wasting my time here? He's like, yeah, we're just going to stay. We're going to wear our polyester and go take communion. All right. Hallelujah. So just think about that. We're talking about the structure of the Torah Observant household and family. We're going to talk about marriage in a second, and we're going to continue this on Friday. But this is that segue. The segue is interesting, so you might not like it. Again, you might feel we're wordy with it, but I think it's extremely important so you can understand what you had not considered prior to. Do y'all know that most people I heard we got a queue list. The moderators keep the queue, but there are people don't realize. I was talking to a wonderful individual, a person whose gift is a pastor. And I was in a meeting with them this morning on their fivefold ministry gift, right? And this particular person who's pastoral in nature was like, so what do we do now? And the question was really an intelligent question. What do we do now that we know our fivefold ministry gift, right? And we help with that. But I said the same thing. I said, well, what we did within Christendom was we told people that once you got saved, you do this, and this. And I need us to understand that when you get saved, Yahweh only wants you to live for him. But how many of you will admit, keep my queue moderators, I'm coming back to you who had the question from earlier, keep the queue moderators. But how many of y'all will admit, and I want everybody to come off of mute, I don't care who you are, what your title is and everything. I want, if you can, when I ask the question, I want everybody to maybe think about rendering an answer. How many of you will admit that when you got saved, though living for Messiah, living for Christ, as y'all say in Christendom, would be implied, what the actual instructions were that sheep begat sheep. So now that you're a sheep, go get sheep. How many of y'all admit that that was the church's instruction to you once you got saved?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And though living like Messiah was implied, we were taught to go get people. We were taught to go get people, like some MLM multi-level marketing company. I'm thirsty.
Oh, that's deep.
Mama D, I don't think they caught it yet, but I'm sure you just got it. And so when people come into their calling, like this beautiful person we talked with this morning was like, well, listen, I know for a fact that we have confirmed my calling is pastoral. So do I go start a church? They didn't say this, but I gave them the analogy. No, you don't go start a church. You are already in a community. You just be pastoral in the community with the guys of the aura of the word. And everybody, when they come in contact with you, will have that type of experience from you. And that's how fivefold ministry works together. You don't need to have a church. You're already in one.
Hallelujah.
Does that make sense, Zion?
Oh, yes, it does.
Most definitely.
So for those of you who don't know, you know, now I'm an evangelist. What do? I go out, I evangelize the world. I go become like Reinhard Bunke, no disrespect, or Benny Hinn, no disrespect, or Joyce Meyer, no disrespect, or whoever else is on, or you, VW Jones, you know. No, that's not what you do. You just live. You live it. You live, you learn the word, you get the word, and when people engage you, people interact with you, suddenly what's your gifting will overshadow them. And then whatever that does, it quickens for them. You quicken and build kingdom. That's how people are brought into the kingdom, by engagement, not by a campaign for entrapment. I am so thirsty lately.
That was the pastor.
That is so good.
So when we understand this, what do we do now? Now that I know my calling, what's the same thing you should have done once you got saved? Live it now. Study to show yourself. Study to show yourself. Study to show yourself approved unto Elohim. Not study to show other people that you know the Bible. I am so thirsty. It's just I just can't quit. I'm just so thirsty. All right, moderators, what's my cue?
Okay, sir. Jaquin has returned in the room. Should you want to?
I had. There was someone before Jaquin. I'm glad she's here.
Yeah.
Good, because I want that question next. There was I had
Jeanette.
Janette.
Forget the Janet part. Just go Janet. We're good. All right, Apostle. I wanted to, it kind of brought to mind a passage in the Bible. I was trying to recall where it was, where he said Yahweh wouldn't always strive with men because of their folly, where they're taking all these fair women because they saw them so fair and they were doing as they had a need to, or they felt like, and just, marrying or taking women from different segments. So it brought back that passage to mind, as well as where we are today and what we do with the overnight relationships and the, divorce rates through the roof. So it speaks to the fact that we're still doing the wrong things.
Yeah, we're doing whatever we want to do, and we're not following the instructions. And so when we realize the question that was on the platform is, with regards to how do we feel about the fact that prior to the instructions, childbearing was not based on love or love making, and oops, we had a child by mistake.
Yeah, and then the divorces and all these entitlements and the fight and the nonsense when we didn't build or create foundations in order to provide or produce these children.
Right. We did not have children with an intention. We had children based on an invention in our community that says, have children when you get married. And you should have children when you're married. You should be having children in order. But in the times of Torah, it was not in the way we do it today, which is, again, on a ethics or a ethnicity's philosophy of community. Now, all ethnicities don't have the same philosophy on childbearing as the Christian church does. And the Christian church needs to be held responsible for not having a philosophy on childbearing that is based on what's in the word. Because we just say, oh, love is everything, get married, don't fornicate, and then we started describing what fornication and adultery were, and people now are having decisions based on that false plate, which is that philosophy that does not actually contain the intention of the instructions the philosophy was drawn from. And so we are now in this dispensation, like Wanda said, Clark, that we are in this dispensation of grace because of our poor interpretation of the instructions in the day of Adam. And now we're making children based on making love. We got children made out of mistake. We call them love childs. We got children who were made because we were making love, married or not. And oops, I'm having morning sickness. If you're not married, oh my, eugenics is implied. If you are married, oh my, can we afford it? But we're married, so it's proper. Let's just go with it and flow with it. And you should. But the point is, the children being born then are not like we're bearing children today. We're having children basically totally not planned. The only plan was get married. I don't want to have children before I'm married. I don't want to have children before I'm married. I don't want to have children before I'm married. Oh, she's so fine. Oh, he's so fine. Oh, let's go on a date. They're on a date. Oops, we went too far. The blood got boiling. Oh, God forgive us. Later on, you find out, oh, I got morning sickness. Oh my God, what are we gonna do? So we're not making children. We're not having children. We're not replenishing the earth the way Yahweh intended it. Back then, he gave them, it was a command. Replenish the earth. Multiply. So don't take this as a, me nailing a coffin shut. I'm just having a conversation that had not been considered. And there are more layers to this. I don't have time to get into all of them, but we can. I just need a request that says, let's talk about this. No problem. But for right now, let me just pique your interest, wet your whistle, wet your bill. How we have children today is not the way Yahweh intended it. We have children based on a mistake from our blood boiling over in passion. Or in some cases, very rare, but some cases, intentional. Let's have a baby. I want a baby. Why do you want a baby? Because I want to be a mother. Why do you want a baby? Because I want to be a dad. Why do you want a baby? Because I didn't have a dad. I didn't have a mom. I want a baby. Why do you want a baby? Because you don't keep a baby. A baby grows up into a full-grown man, a full-grown woman, but you want a baby. That's not what you're going to get. You're going to get a human. Make y'all think, don't it?
Yes, sir.
You think you can have a baby all your life, and that's going to satisfy this need and this rite of passage for the woman. Or in some instances, the rite of passage for a man with his itinerary. At end of day, we don't have children the way Yahweh intended. If y'all agree with that, flash your mics. If you don't, that's cool too. So, looking at that as, even Wanda Clark was saying earlier, if Adam had not eaten of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, we wouldn't be having this dispensation stuff, because at the end of the day, the family structure and the family construct would be a very great deal more communal than this dysfunctional separation of racism and elitism and classism that we're experiencing today. because what Yahweh had was a commonwealth in the garden. Once you got put out the garden, human, you then took on the knowledge of good and the knowledge of evil, and your communities were based on that knowledge, which had nothing to do with Yahweh's instructions. And therefore, you and I now have the differences in families, the differences in classes, the differences in ethnicities. All of that comes from the disobedience of the Torah. Now, if you don't take time to explain that way, people will tell you that you are just being petty, or, you know, that's not worth the conversation. But dear heart, if you don't know that Torah, if we get back to it, is the only thing that can restore the issues we are right now contending with in the earthen realm. It is the only thing that can restore. That's why the word says, that's why Elohim says he sent his Torah to heal your land. Wait a minute. He sent the word to heal your land. Let me say it again. He sent the Torah to heal your land. Remember, when Adam sinned, Yahweh cursed the ground. Only your knowledge of the word can heal the ground Yahweh cursed from producing for you the way Yahweh intended before the fall of man.
Wow.
Yeah, it really does hit differently. And see, some of y'all going to hear it today like, oh, that makes sense. But you're going to forget it tomorrow. The next time I speak about it, like, there he go with that stuff again. Zion, this is so etched and ingrained in my soul. I will never, ever stop teaching this. Because we need to, in all that we get in our church, our clapping, our jumping, our joy nights, our pastors' appreciations, our Sunday morning church, our Bible studies, all the things that we do, we need to get an understanding of what Yahweh's intentions were. Because the version we're producing to bring praise and glory to him is nothing like he instructed, and he is not pleased with a great deal of what we present. And we got to own that. And there's a way to own it and fix it. That's why he gave us the Torah. If you notice, it's been sitting here the whole time and we've just never used it. We've had actual campaigns from within the religious sector of Christianity that say, don't read the Old Testament and don't worry about the Torah. You don't need that information. That's not what you need. That's for a different ethnicity of people. And it wasn't even given to the ethnicity of people that they say it's for. It was given to humanity to get humanity back on track, because the first Adam cursed the ground. The second Adam came, in fact, listen, the second Adam came, in fact, to heal the curse the first Adam made. Let me help you. Do y'all remember something you didn't pay attention to? But theologians, this should blow your mind. If it doesn't, it should at least make you get a bead of sweat on your forehead. But just watch, because you've preached it. I've preached it. But when Yahweh revealed to me this, it blew my mind. Remember the woman that was caught in adultery? Y'all got to tell me y'all do or y'all don't.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So the woman that was caught in adultery, they brought her by herself. That's a whole nother story. I don't know how you catch somebody in a tango dance with another person and the other dance partner ain't there. I don't get that part, but okay. So they brought her to him. Now, this is what Messiah, he is the second Adam. You ain't got to come off of mute, but say that right now with me and either type it in or something, but say Messiah is the second Adam.
Messiah is the second Adam.
So we know the first Adam cursed the ground, caused Yahweh to curse the ground. The second Adam came to heal the curse of the ground for humanity's betterment. Watch what he did. So when the woman came, some of y'all just got it. When Ruach said two of them just got it. Somebody just got it. Good. When the woman came, they all presented her and said, what should we do? And it was led by the Pharisees and led by the Sadducees, who were trying to get Messiah to make a bad halakha decision in front of the people. Halakha is their version of the law, but not the Torah at all. So they wanted him to make a mistake so that the people can see that in our halakha, when someone commits adultery, they are to be stoned. That's what our law says. Okay, well, Messiah's very unique way of dealing with this was, one, you didn't bring all the participants. So Mr. Pharisee and Sadducee, you trying to catch me in a trip, you already tripped yourself up. This doesn't work because you didn't bring both parties. I am really thirsty right now.
Yes, sir. This is good.
Do y'all get that? Now, so he kills the religious attempt to defame him. This is what he does to show the healing virtue of his presence to the earth. He does it twice, but I want to give you this one. The Bible says that when they brought him, that woman, alone, in error, trying to vet their particular purpose, he kneels down and touches the ground. And suddenly, everybody in the crowd remembers their own sins that they were not, in fact, killed for.
Righty then.
All of a sudden, everybody who was trying to put this woman to death suddenly remember their sins. How do you think that happened? Think it got something to do with him bending down? You think there's a unique reason for why that's written in the narrative? He sits down and he doodles and writes something in the ground. But the point is not so much what he wrote. It's the fact that he, the word, touched the cursed ground that used to respond to the first Adam's footprint and their feet standing on the dirt. He is now touching. There is a conversation going on inside of them that they suddenly remember that they could be in this woman's position, and no one throws a stone. You think he healed the ground and communicated through the ground to them? Yeah, I'm thinking.
Yes.
I hope y'all don't try to come and take back my degrees.
You're worth every one of them.
Do you need it?
Yeah, I realize that, Mama D. We really don't. He already gave us all degrees, but no, it's good to get them. And this way you'll know how, in fact, to talk about this. Adrian Morris, you get it? Is that impressive or what? And so now watch this. He does it a second time. The second Adam is the word of Elohim in flesh. He sent his word to heal our land. What does he do? A man is blind. He then, from the rivers of living water inside of him, spits on the dirt that made the man. He smears his spittle with the mud, the dirt. He makes mud and puts it on the man's eyes and heals his sight. Y'all gonna get that if you let that sink in.
Got it.
Oh, yes.
It's the word that heals the land. So if you and I want to fix the problems of our families and fix the problems of our divisions of race and culture and economics and education and politics, it's going to take the Torah alone to do that. Because the Torah was designed to create and produce and maintain common wealth. There was never to be an upper echelon of anything. Man was supposed to have dominion. Let me recite that. Let me rephrase that. Man was designed to have dominion over the Adoma. But within humanity, there was never to be a upper echelon of anything. Yes, there is a pecking order in the ecosystem, and there's a pecking order, the totem pole effect, as it were, in the earth. Who eats what gets eaten, but not within humanity. Humanity was a business to oversee the marketplace called Adoma and everything that came out of it. And our children were supposed to be heirs to help us continue that. And then as we pass on, carry it forward until Yahweh tells time to end, which there was really, in the way Yahweh put this together, based on the book of Bereshit, there was no intention of this ending, which is why the tree of life was there. However, man did not keep the instructions. Now we are in these dispensations, these eras, and these errors, ERRORS, as well as the ERAS of life. So the structure of the family is based on the Torah. And Yahweh was very specific and clear. But what he did was he says, the man that comes out of the human beings called parents is supposed to fear them, revere them, the parents. And then, watch this, y'all, that man, that woman that comes out of that parenthood and grows up to revere their parenthood is supposed to guard the Shabbat. Why do you think humanity was to guard the Shabbat? Because that's where the word is imputed. That's where the word is focused on for 24 complete hours in a work week. This thing is much more diabolical, and this thing is a real issue. We didn't think about it. We were so busy doing church, we missed that it's the word, not the preaching. Preaching is supposed to help us whet our appetites about going home and privately studying the word. But now we got a bunch of junkies on preachers. We're hooked on preachers, and the preachers were supposed to get us hooked on the word or healed with the word, on a prescription for the word. And now we're looking for the preacher to become the physician to give us, this constant slight maintenance plan that can come with a prescription. And come on, preach me happy. Come on, have a special prayer for me. Come on, preacher, I give my tithes to you, so, tell me what to do. What happened to acknowledge Yahweh in all your ways? That's the preacher's job. That's the proclaimer of these teachings' job, to point you to what they're proclaiming. And then you, having that introduction, that appetizer, that hors d'oeuvre, now go get the main course privately by yourself at home in your space, creating a culture, learning the recipes so you can make that yourself at home. So the church was designed to be a fast food that was supposed to be promoting the recipes you can use and cook at home. But now we won't cook at home. The only time we'll cook is when we come back to church, and we're not cooking. We're letting someone else cook. And everybody that cook, y'all, ain't clean. People be picking their nose and scratching their backsides and didn't wash their hands. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there. That hit different, don't it?
Ew.
But it hits different, don't it? So as we talk about the family instructions in a way, listen, let me put this out to y'all as well, because now we're going to transition into the marriage piece. And I'm not going to be much longer, but I want y'all to transition with me if you can. Now, there is something that we don't understand, because the idea of the family is that the family is a business. Do y'all believe that now, that the family was a business designed by Elohim to maintain the job that Yahweh gave humanity? Children were not to be born out of making love, as it were. That wasn't the premise for copulation. That wasn't the premise for progenerating. That progeneration. That wasn't the premise. Because Yahweh knew we need workers to till the ground. And no matter how many were on it and doing what they do in it, and I don't believe that we would have the types of if the Torah, if the instructions had not been disobeyed by Adam at that stage, I do not believe we would be living in buildings the way we are today. Now that can be, you can call that subjective, you can call that eisegetical if you want to. I will own that. I'll take that. But think about it before you shoot me down.
Apostle, you have a cue still.
Oh, I got a cue still. All right. Hurry up, because I got to go to this next point about what happens when a person's married. All right, what's my cue?
Mama D, Brother Jesse, Jacqueline, and Brother Eugene.
We had Mama D already. She came up already. No? She's back on cue? Okay, go ahead.
She was back in queue.
Mama D, go. Mama D? She there? Mama D? All right, get her back on. Who's next?
Yes, that's what I said. Go ahead with the next. I don't need to go again.
You can, beloved.
Nope, that's okay. I'm finished.
I'm done. Get off. Okay, yes, man. Who's next?
Brother Jesse.
Brother Jesse, go. Is he here? All right, Mama D, since he's not here, come on, give me, what was your thought last time?
I don't know. It's too long.
That part. Okay. Okay, so who's...
I'm really loving this because it is putting together thoughts that were of old that I should not have let go. And that's what happens when you start messing with too many preachers and pastors.
I don't know if you muted yourself.
All of these different things.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, you hit that. It's true, because you get it gets convoluted. And in the structure of the organization called Christendom does not really want the slow cook. It's here is why we gather, learn this, now go home, and then come back Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday.
Are you kidding me?
Right, that part.
Okay, you go ahead. I'm done.
Done. Well, good job, Mama D. All right, great ad, great value. All right, what's our cue?
I saw Brother Jesse come back in the room.
All right, Brother Jesse.
Yeah, Brother Jesse.
Shalom.
Shalom. My question to you on the situation with the Torah in the future, will it be a reestablishment of the law, or how would that work in the future?
Two things we've got to understand about the future. You can go to Revelations chapter and start reading Revelation chapters 21 through 22. If you really want to stretch it out, go to 20, and you're going to see Yahweh tell us about the new heaven and the new earth, the two trees of life flowing, sitting on side of the river that flows, of the river of life that flows from the actual throne of Elohim in Jerusalem, the two trees of life on both sides of the banks of that river. You're going to see that Yahweh is going to take, watch this, only the people who died in righteousness, was raptured in righteousness in this earth. Once he destroys this earth, just for the sake of a picture in your head, we're going to jump onto a new heaven and a new earth, and all of us are already compliant to his instructions and desire to honor his writ. So yes, there's always going to be a area of following his instructions. So I am of the strongest persuasion that the new heaven and the new earth will be in line with what he intended Adam to establish in the garden, but he failed in not keeping Torah. But there's not going to be on the new heaven and the new earth one person to start humanity. Humanity in its converted form, in its transformed existence, will be a populace already. Now, does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Now, being that we don't know the totality of the new future, would there be like for example, even though David transgressed, he still had a heart for Yahweh's commandments. So he didn't throw away the commandments. So would there be a situation where people will still mess up, or would be completely
first thing to that question? First thing, and I'm gonna hit two parts, and we're gonna hit that. But the first thing is David doesn't transgress. King David does. That's the first big thing out there on that comment, and I want all the Christians to get that. King David doesn't transgress.
So you're saying which is David, not the king?
King David is David, but it's not. King David is allowed to do what he did. What Yahweh did was, this is where he's a heart after Yahweh. What Yahweh did was check David to see if David is now beside himself because he is the king. See, what people never read, Brother Jesse, was Samuel, 1 Samuel chapters 9 and 10. We thought we read it, but nobody paid attention to the fact that Yahweh made the job description for whoever he anointed to be the king. And what David did with Bathsheba was a thing the king could do. Yahweh just checked David to see if David realized, though you can do this as king, if you weren't king, how would you feel about this?
Right.
That's a wow moment, because nobody realizes that King David didn't commit adultery. What? I know. Go read the book.
We always say that he committed adultery.
And that right there is the reason we have some other issues philosophically and theologically behind that misinformation. King David, even if it was King Saul, did not, based on Samuel's instructions of Elohim, commit adultery. But Yahweh checked David and said, hey, you're the king. You can do that. Same thing with the murder of Uriah. Yahweh checked David and said, now that you are king, you really can't be bothered by this because I've given that exemption. But let me ask you how you feel about that as a human.
Well,
so we're not going back and forth on that piece, because we got to get off this. We got to move off of this and get to the other point of the other part of your point. That's just something for you guys to go chew on later on. All right. So King David doesn't commit sin. He doesn't. Yahweh permitted that under the clausing of his job description. Go read the book. And don't read it from a commentary because you Baptist, you Methodist, you Presbyterian. Go read the writ. When you read it, not you, Brother Jesse, I'm talking to people who are listening to the conversation. Go read it. Find out that David, as king, does not transgress in putting Uriah to battle or to taking the woman who was not his. Strange thing, though it falls under a clausing in the Torah. But the man David, because the king wanted the people after other nations, that's what Yahweh gave them. So after other nations, the king you wanted, this is how they operate. This is the exemption I wrote up, said Yahweh. Therefore, King David doesn't sin, but Yahweh checks him to see if he's become like other nations and says, so what you think about this now? That man needs to die. You realize you did that, right? Oh, snap. I repent. I take off this robe. I take off. That's not how Yahweh wants us to operate. And so because it's a part of the Torah that David is actually judging the nations by, we have right to say David sinned, he transgressed. But that thing goes a whole lot deeper. And if people don't understand that whole arc, that whole concept, that whole piece there. Now, back to the next part about will there be a judging in that new world? Yes, there will be a judging in that new world. And what we have to first realize is that the new world is predicated and is a result of one, Elohim's prophecy, but we get a practice run called the millennial reign. So the millennial reign tells you that when Yeshua HaMashiach returns after the Battle of Armageddon and he mounts the throne in Jerusalem, he will then set those who come back with him in the clouds, he will set them over all of the noble and the monarchy and the ministerial and the political structures. We will be in charge over the existing populace of the planet. He will rule with an iron fist, meaning those who died in unrighteousness will now have to live under righteousness as its governance. And he will rule with a rod of iron. That's in the book of Revelations. It's written out just like that. So, to your question, in the new heaven and the new earth, because this one will fold away, melt away with a fervent heat, we in righteousness who made the rapture, who lived in righteousness, and when the rapture came, those that all went up to glory to wait for the Battle of Armageddon, old saints and the new saints today, coming back on a cloud with him when he's fighting on his horse, and his mouth opens up his mouth and a sword comes out of his mouth and decapitates everything that's fighting Jerusalem. That group will be now in dominion over the earth for a millennial. That's what's called the millennial reign. Now, after the millennial reign, hell will be thrown into the lake of fire. Satan and the angels under darkness thrown into the lake of fire. This earth will melt, basically thrown into the lake of fire, and a new heaven and a new earth. So all of those on the earth during the millennial reign that did not come down and reign with Messiah, but are being reigned on by Messiah, all those who died in unrighteousness still on the planet will be thrown into the lake of fire. That's their eternal reward. Those of us who have lived in righteousness, our eternal reward will be living on the new earth and the new heaven that Yahweh has prophesied once this earth and this heaven melts away with a fervent heat. So Adam was what started on this earth, a singular. When we go to the new heaven and the new earth, we are already going to be populating the place. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Good question. Thanks for adding value. All right, who's next on product? Who's next on the program? Who's next on the queue?
Jaquin and Brother Eugene.
Jaquin, come on, Jaquin, what you got?
Hello, I'm Shalom. This question was from
Monday. Yeah.
When you was talking about the children with their parents and their parents I believe responsible for raising them in the way of Elohim and all that type of stuff. So my question was, does that apply to grandparents as raising the grandchildren along with the parents being present?
Okay, great question. So we talked about it on the last broadcast on Monday about children of yours just to set the structure, a parent having a child, the child growing up, and then that child having its child. So the grandparent cannot override the parent. Okay? Can't be done. Shouldn't be done. Okay? It's inordinate. The grandparent has to work in concert with the parent, and that's if the parent is okay with its parent. Okay? So the grandparent having a child who's had a child can't deal with the grandchild without permission and instructions from the parent, their child. Because the grandparent is a grandparent, but it's not their child. It's the parent. It's the child they had's child. So that has to be a concerted effort if the grandparent is to have any influence in the grandchild's life. Now, what we were talking about were the controversies of that, because children need to one, revere their parents, but if their parents were so busy trying to make life and never paid attention to raising the child, and the child's exposed to all this and all of that, and now the child has grown up and they still got somewhat of hidden issues with their own parent, though they may get over them, they still have issues that I don't want my children going through what I went through, so I'm not going to let my parents help me raise my children for whatever reason. Now, if that child, that now parent, is making that argument and case, but they themselves are ratchet and they're really just holding on to some vendetta, though they will always respect their mama. I'll always love my mama, right? At the end of the day, that parent has the right to choose. Now, whether they want that grandparent in that baby's life, they will also restrict or they will set parameters for the grandparent. Maybe you can just buy them gifts, birthday stuff. You know, whenever we're in trouble, we call on you. But yeah, don't be trying to tell them how to live. Wrong as it is, I counsel families, y'all. I'm telling you what's out here. So Jaquin's question is, is that true with the parents who have lost custody of their child and the grandparent has been given court custody of the child? The grandparent who has the legal court custody of the child is now, in the sight of the state and the sight of God, the parent of that child, though they are biologically have to consider the parents, the biological parents of the child. The government will not let the parent interfere with the grandparents raising the child, because the government said the parents don't know how to be parents. So we deem the child a ward of the state, and our protective custody says the grandparent is better suited to raise the children morally, financially, and communal. So this parent is not mature enough, but the grandparent is, and the state is intervening. So now the parent, though parental, though biological, has no say. Jaquin, does that help?
Yes, that helps.
Now, what we also talked about, Jaquin, is that if the grandparent really loves its children, it will find a way to help the grandchild care for, in most cases, and receive its proper parent. So the grandparent would be wise to allow for the children, while the grandparent is helping them with homework, helping them with life issues, helping them with social issues, helping them with puberty, make sure that the parent is involved, noting that the parent, biological, is being invited in so that they can be informed and the child has actual presence with their biological, so that when the day they are transitioned back, if the government should see fit Maybe the parents can come to an agreement and the children realize that's my real mommy, that's my grandmama. And when they get older, they'll realize that there was a governmental arm that separated the family the way that it did and shifted the authorities. But the child, when it grows up, will in fact not have a terrible scar. They'll have this impediment, but they will not have this horrible scar because the grandparent used wisdom to keep the biological parent involved in the children's raising, while the grandparent, who has authority, oversaw not just the visitation, but the encounters that the child is having with his parent. And the grandparent not just oversaw it, but structured it so the parent could have a part of responsibility, but does not call the shots. But the parent and the grandparent work on how to make the parent a parent to the child. There's a lot that, there's a lot that goes into that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I just want to say one more thing. I thank you for bringing that to me, because that was something I was wondering about. And also, I want to thank you for what you taught today, because it actually opened my eyes to a lot of things, and it makes me want to apologize to Yahweh for, having children in a way that is not, that he does not want us to have. All the nuggets that you bring it, and keep on bringing them. And I get my mic.
No, that was good, Jacqueline, and I do understand what you're saying by that. And this is not to bring us into condemnation, because the word didn't come to condemn. The word came to heal and fix. And as long as we now understand, oh, that's where I erred, Yahweh's pleased with that. Of course, we're going to repent. I messed up. I didn't know. Yahweh can, watch this, by the word, restore our youth, and then help us before we leave this planet, have a meaningful life of rightness with him. And that affects the entire community that we are a part of, especially the community that believes like we believe. And now you have a commonwealth, though it may be a microcosm of his intention, it does have an existence that people can see. And we glorify the Father in heaven, and people will want to know how to be like that. But you're right. That whole era of time, they had children different from why we have children. And we have children the way we do because we were told it was unnecessary to read the Torah. And I really attribute that to a great deal. And I mean like 80% of the issues we have in our modern day communities, particularly within Christianity and Christendom, and regardless of the ethnicities, and regardless of the social economic statuses, regardless of the educational statuses of Christendom as a genre and a dynamic. Because when you go to read Torah, you see clearly, oh my, that's what you meant. What we've been doing does not match up. That's on us. So to you, beloved, Yahweh be praised. And I'm glad you gleaned something. And now you can say, oh, that's what you meant, Yahweh. I messed up. My bad. Now give me more of your word so I can heal up the unintended wounds that I didn't even know I was causing. But they don't even know they had them. So help me with more of the word so I can get this right. And anybody coming back to you can be healed. And that's me included. That's why I teach the way I teach, so that we know the truth. That's what makes us free. All right. Great participation. Great ad, Jaquin. Okay. Who's next on my queue? Brother Eugene?
Brother Eugene.
All right. You got your thought together, Eugene? Brother Eugene. Okay. He's not here. Anybody? Is he? All right. Brother Eugene.
He's here. He's coming off mute, but we can't hear him. So, Brother Eugene, you have to go out and come back in.
Good. All right. I'll do this very quickly because Facebook is getting overlooked, but I'm seeing a question on here by Ekapesia Evans. And Apesia Evans, why then did his child die? The child died because the child was an actual product of the issue. Once David, the child, Yahweh took the child as punishment. The wage of sin is death. David got with her out of lust. Though he was the king, he didn't really, as a king, use her for real service. He used her for his own service, which was a part of the actual job description. No one wants to talk about that because it seems to go contrary to what the church is propagating as a narrative, that adultery, this. You got to understand that was a unique situation. That was a specific Elohim written situation and a exemption Yahweh gave the office of the king that they wanted that would operate like other nations. Yahweh wrote that job description, people. So when David does it, he's covered under that exemption. Yahweh wants to know whether he has actually taken on the entire mindset of the way other kings operate. And when he brought the prophet Nathan to him and said, hey, this happened on your watch, king. No. Bring that man to me. No, the devil is a liar. You are not doing that. And he says, oh, king, that man is you. You are that man. Oh, that's what I did. You're right. My bad. And he repents. The king doesn't have to. He has an exemption. But David, the man, he's like, oh, though I can get away with this, because he can remove anybody from any home at any time. He can say, guard, do this, guard, do that. He can say, bring me your baby boy. How many of y'all would be upset if David came into your home, your king came into your home and said, give me your brand new born or a 16-year-old son? He's going to go and in the middle of a war, we're going to put your son and all the sons of this community in front of my truck so that any arrows, they would get the arrows before I did because I'm the king. I matter the most. How many of y'all going to be upset about that? Talk to me.
I will, for sure.
Thank you, Mama D. Anybody else? Because I don't think anybody else, that's going to be a problem for you.
Very upset.
Absolutely.
Did you know there would be nothing you could say about that if the king did that?
Right.
That's heartbreaking.
That part. But see, this is where the Christian church, we're so entitled to our set of laws today and our set of instructions and rules today and our governances today. We miss the fact that Yahweh and the Torah and the explanation and the narrative and the testimonies of the Tanakh explain this explicitly. You cannot just leapfrog over that.
Mama D.
All right. So we want to understand that. Very quick, Mama D, what you got?
I just wanted to say she would not be heartbroken if she read the Torah.
Well, I Mama D, I don't know. I love you on this, but I think I got to be real with you. The thing, listen, the thing that they did was Yahweh told Samuel, go tell the people who are not rejecting you, Samuel, as king. They're rejecting me and my word of life over them. And what they're telling you is we want kings like other nations. Tell them this is what the king will be able to do. He laid it out for them solemnly. Yahweh said, solemnly protest this inquisition. Solemnly protest this request. Solemnly give them the blunt facts of it. This is what the king will be able to do. You're going to add to your taxation. You're going to add to your occupation. You're going to add to your responsibilities to another entity outside of me, and you will not diminish what you bring me. You will not diminish the days I ask for your presence. But this king will be able to imply and bring up other items of his own will that you will be subject to if this is what you truly want. Now, is that what you guys want? Do you realize he's going to be able to take your sons and daughters to be confectionaries? He's going to take your sons to be his secret service. They can be shields for the king's life. The people said, wow, okay. But yeah, we'll take it. It's okay. Sure.
Yeah.
That's what the people did. They thought about it. So, moms, dads, if the king came and said, your 16-year-old son is going up before the archers that are trying to kill the king, and we're going to plaster these sons all over the vehicle and the carriage so that the king don't get shot, they're going to buffer that. Did y'all think about that's what that means? So the king, the people, they asked for a king like other nations. That's how other nations operated. That's what Yahweh gave them, and he wrote the job description. Technically, the king could come into your home, Mr. Man, and take your wife out of the bed, put you in prison, and marry your wife. That's what the king, like other nations, can do. That's what they asked for. That's what they got. They need to thank Yahweh. David was the one anointed to be that person because he did keep Torah in the morality of his lifestyle. And that's what kept him from being like other kings. We look over that because we live today in a democratic society. And we've put other things in place. These are necessary elements. All right. I've gotten off of the point of what we're talking about here with regards to the structure. Was that my last cue? Because I'm done here.
Brother Eugene, are you back?
Yeah, that's what we're waiting on. All right. If he's not here, we got to go. Okay.
Yeah, I'm back.
Come on, Doc. Come on. You got me held up. What's going on? Good to see you, though. How's Pastor Karen doing? Tell I say shalom. What you got?
Yes, okay, about 5 questions. Okay. Listen, don't come for me on this one, please. But look, the question that I have is sort of kind of off topic, but not off script. It's something that you mentioned. You mentioned the word dominion, and then you talked about the fivefold ministry. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I say at best, someone was trying to convince me that the fivefold ministry and dominion, there is a connection. And I said to them, I cannot see the connection. Do you agree? And if so, are you able to point that out? Because I can't see the two of them being connected.
Well, the fivefold ministry is basically if you will, the courts of our God. You got your prophet, you got your apostle, prophet, evangelist, pastor, and teacher, and they are in the kingdom of Elohim. They are, these are also lifestyles. These are also innate functionalities of every person born with a particular gift of Adonai. So they are in function. And as a unit, the fivefold ministry is what keeps what we know the kingdom of Elohim doing what it does. In that, your king can be one of those. Your leaders and military and all that stuff is a part of the fivefold ministry kingdom. So yes, there is a distinction, but it takes a lot. There is a distinction, but there's also a very common space, because that is what gives us the innate authority.
Well, that's interesting because
but we won't
think of dominion.
But we're gonna have to take that on another platform though, because that takes us off of this subject matter altogether to deal with that. Moderators make that question from Brother Eugene, and Brother Eugene submit that question. I'll do a whole broadcast with you, bro.
All right. Okay.
For real? I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because it's important to understand, and we talk about that when we talk about the life of Abraham, and probably it'll come up in Bible Book Club before we get it up on Preceding Word, because we're about to hit Abraham. Great point. Okay. Great question. But no, without arguing and being upset about that, know that there is a connection to dominion and to fivefold ministry. But it's got its layering. It's got its proper function, and it needs to be done rightly. All right. Good question. Okay, everybody. So I'm going to have to let this ride out, but I want y'all to catch this. Back to the issue, because this is where the segue to marriage was supposed to happen. The segue to marriage within the construct of the Torah Observant family and the Torah Observant home, the Torah Observant community, is that we did not have children under Torah, were not had, or I should say children in the times of Adam, were not had the way we have children today. And we have children today out of this passion for love. Back then they had it because it was a commandment and a task, and all of that. But you also have to understand that once Torah became full-fledged, all 613 mitzvah, you find that there are instructions inside of it that tell you how things are supposed to be done. So when a man marries a woman, listen, when a man marries a woman, now this is going to be a great segue, and I'm going to run this until 4 o'clock, and I'm going to cut it off because I know y'all going to have some thoughts about this. I'm going to run this till 4 o'clock. Elder Page, if I got somebody who is in an appointment with me and need to be adjusted, can you please figure that part out for me? Because I'm going to run this for the next 40 minutes, and then we're going to get off the preceding word and come back Friday because it goes far deeper than what we're going to touch. So when a man gets married under Torah, one, he is marrying supposedly a virgin. Do you all agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
And when a woman is marrying a man, she is supposed to be marrying a virgin as well, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And so in the process of the dowry, all of that is explained, whether he has been frolicking as a youth and made his errors, or she has been frolicking as a youth and made her errors. If her, to him, work ethic is worth it, if his vision to her is worth it, then they will work out the fact that says, hey, I was a child, I did as a child, I messed up, I don't have my virginity, but will you still have me? That's all hashed out by the families in the dowry process. So when you guys hear about dowry, do not think instantaneously that you're talking about an arranged marriage. Certain cultures took the dowry and they made that a pivot and a cotter pin to arranged marriage, but Yahweh does not work and operate that way. The dowry process and the process of betrothal was an explanation of the reality of the candidates and what needs to happen. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to why marriages today don't work the way that they could. If y'all ready to hear this, I need y'all to flash y'all mics. Y'all gonna sit with me for the next 40 minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I want y'all to pay attention. There is a very unusual commandment in the book of Devarim, chapter 24, verse 5. Very unusual. And the way that I say it's unusual is that, man, when I read it, I was like, oh, snap, this is deep. When you know Torah from age 4 to age 8, because you were learning in Bet Sefer, the school of the beginnings, and then you went from age 8 to age 12, and you were learning Torah in Bet Midrash, which means the school of the Middle Ages, right? And you are now understanding the dynamics. Before you even think about a mate, this commandment and this procedure is already in your psyche, and the community has it as a lifestyle. It is not uncommon. To tell you about it now, you will say, you can't make us do that. I'm not trying to make y'all do that, but I want to show you something we did not pay attention to. Two things. The first thing is the betrothal and the dowry part. If you know you can't have a wife without a dowry from a young child, you are making paper routes, you're picking peppers, you're doing whatever you need to do to make sure you got something, and you're working with your mom and dad, you're revering them so they can bless you, give you an inheritance, yada, yada, yada. You can get your spouse. And or young ladies, they work desperately to help please and help their father do the things of their business so someone can see their value, and then those values and that dowry match up, and now you have a community that remains on the upcline and never on the decline. Now listen closely. So what they would do as children coming out of Bet Midrash, Bet Sefer, they knew these principles. They started in their lifestyle and community to begin to work towards them. By the time they had a bar mitzvah or a bet mitzvah, those gifts came in and was a part of the lifestyle a young adult would have right before they selected a mate or were selected and asked to give their hand to a mate, because both have say in the marriage process. So the initial marriage, again, is business driven. It is not driven by good looks. It is not driven by passion for sex. It is not driven by fornication. It is not driven, shouldn't be, sometimes it was, by a shotgun wedding. All right. Now, you know what that means when someone has a child out of wedlock or child out of, their young age, and then the parents are like, no, y'all get married. If y'all had a baby, y'all get married. No, that's not it, but it's happened. Here's the catch. So when someone is about to marry, the process within Torah comprehension, Torah construct is this, that the person, the male, would see the work ethic of the potential bride before knowing whether she's been raped, before knowing whether she has given up her virginity, before any of that. He acknowledges her by her work ethic. He does not see her because she's beautiful. He pays attention to how she makes everything her dad does look right, package right, in the marketplace right. They didn't marry for looks, though looks are always huge. And the reason they didn't marry for looks, because basically they wore talit, they wore tunic, and they were basically in burlap sacks. Not burlap per se, but in a visual, so you understand it. You couldn't see what tattoos they had. You couldn't see how their glutes looked unless it was just pronounced outside of their robe. You couldn't see whether they had really fine tan lines, or you didn't see their body. You saw their work ethic. You saw the body of their work. Make that a quote. You saw the body of their work. You didn't see their body that you wanted to work. All right. You saw the body of their work. You didn't see their body before you selected them as a mate. Now, what would happen is in Torah concept that he would go to the girl's father and say, I've seen your daughter's work ethic in the marketplace. I've seen how she's made your business grow and bloom and maintain and keep things straight. And she put some people in check. I like her work ethic, and I need that work ethic with my vision for my life and carrying on my father and my family's business. You know our culture. Here is my dowry. I can say I have what we would consider a tenth presenting to you. I have equal to or greater than what you have, so you, father, will know she's not going to be living in a lesser situation financially and security-wise than you've raised her in. The father would take that if he liked the guy. He could actually reject the guy if the guy didn't meet all the standards that fathers use to select a son to be a son-in-law when that dowry or that suitor would come. So the father, let's just say, accepted the dowry. He knew the boy's father. He knew the boy's family. He may not have known them personally, but the reputation of business in the community is the way that people are revered. Moderators, it's always been about, always will be about business. That's just it in a nutshell. It's always been about that, always will be about that. And those are the things we have to understand and embrace. Now, watch this. When that dowry is given to the father says, okay, I'll present it to the wife and the daughter that you have eyes for. And notice he's not having eyes for her because she's pretty. If she's pretty and sexy, that's a bonus. That's a benefit. He finds the sexy part, that she won't mess up his money and she will help to build his vision. She will be a resource to him and he a visionary to her resource. And those two things are what a marriage is based on. Woo! Now, what we do today is completely different. What we do today is completely different. But watch now what happens. He takes the dowry. The father presents the case to the mother and the daughter, invites this young man to a meal. They come in, present the reality that this man is a suitor. He qualifies based on my father's agenda and all the criteria I need to know for a father. I know his family. Y'all know his family. We all go to synagogue. He keeps Shabbat. He keeps Shabbat. He keeps Torah. He's of our faith. He's not some Gentile or whatever. And so he meets all the criteria, but the choice is yours, baby girl. See, that's the difference between an arranged marriage. She has to choose and accept his hand in marriage. The father is instrumental in that because the daughter knows that the father knows men and how men need to operate and how men need to produce and put forward, because their culture has always fostered that. So father, quote unquote, knows best. Now, when the daughter says, Dad, what do you think? The father says he meets the criterion. I can't speak for his internal person. I don't know what you'll experience there, but I do know he meets the criterion for how our community keeps thriving as a nation. And he's got a vision. He talked to me about it. He and I, watch this, he and I went out on a few dates. See, the groom, the potential groom, doesn't date the potential bride. The groom dates the father. Because the father is the mentality that the girl is going to have. So the girl is dad 2.0 and in a skirt. So if the father and the groom don't get along, then the father and the bride are never, then the groom and the potential bride, they're never going to get together. So the father's like, yeah, I want to punch you in your throat. I've had 5 experiences with you. I don't like you very much, or I don't like the way you do business. And we've had some business interactions and I don't like the way things go. I know my daughter, because she's like me, she's going to find you just the way I find you. So you might not be the right one for this. Thank you for your inquiry. Here's your dowry back. Have a good day. And the bride and the groomsman, he's going to be like, hey, I don't like you. You know what? Now I see your daughter. I see what she does, but you different. And I don't like the way you do, you know? So, sir, I withdraw my inquiry of your daughter. See, y'all not been taught this, but you're going to learn today. So now let's get past and get to a positive transaction. So the dowry is being presented. We can prove that you have better or equal to, and my daughter, you know, she has to choose. We're going to have dinner. Come sit down. Let's chat, chop it up. And my daughter says, Dad, what do you think? Well, daughter, he meets all the criterion. She says, okay, let me think about it. They come back. All right, I'm going to take your hand in marriage. There was no love there. Did y'all miss that part? They didn't marry for love. They married for vision and a vetted resource. Now listen. So now the daughter takes and accepts the man's hand in marriage. He wants her hand because he needs her to work with him, the vision Yahweh's given him. And he's going to treasure that and honor that. So now what he does is he takes her hand in marriage, but he can't date her. He doesn't date her. Again, he dated the dad to get an idea of the family. Now they're at table. And he has to say, in order for me to take your daughter into my space, I got to go back to my home and build a place for her. Remember when Messiah says, I go away to prepare a place for you, that where I am, you may be also. When he made that statement to the disciples, everybody knew he was talking about the marriage, because that's what the married men would say when they are trying. That's when the men that want to be married would say to those who they're betrothing, now that you've accepted my dowry, I know that you are exclusively mine, and while I'm building my house, I am exclusively yours. We're never going to touch anything else or anybody else. And when I'm done building the house, my father will tell me if the house is proper, and then he'll send me back to get you so you and I can go and live in the house I've prepared for us, and you can make that house a home, right? Now, I will not be back here for 13, 12, 15 months. Because I got to go build. Now y'all understand the rapture better?
Absolutely.
Yes. Wow.
So now when the dowry has been given, that is the season called the betrothal season. Listen, while that betrothal season is going on, please pay attention. The bridegroom is preparing everything for his bride so that they can be together. He understands a little bit about the father and the family that they're in, so he's making her comfortable. Mom and dad are training both the bride and the groom on what it takes to be married to a man or to a woman, and they're teaching them all the nuances that marriage brings. And both father takes a chance with the daughter, mother takes a chance with the daughter, father takes a chance with the son, mother takes a chance with the son, and they are teaching each other what the community has understood about marriage. Now, here's the catch. They are apart. They are betrothed. English, we call it engaged. They are in an engagement for at least 9 months to potentially 2 years before that house is proper and ready for a man to bring his wife into. While that bridegroom is building the house in his father's land, he is also saving up his money. He is also preparing for the fact of the business and what they're going to do next. Why? Watch this next part. Go with me to Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 5. Devarim 24:5. Devarim 24:5. Come on. Devarim 24:5. I want y'all to get this. This is an important thing. Devarim 24:5. Please catch this. Watch closely. There is an unusual set of commandments in the Torah that pertain to newly married couples. So when this man now is betrothed to this woman, he's gone for 9 months to potentially 2 years. Usually the average is 12, 13, 14 months because they got to build and build rightly and build up money so that the house is not topsy-turvy. That's what he's got to do. She is down there with her mom and dad learning how to be a wife, how to be a bride, how to be everything she needs to be. And she's still building her father's business, but it's clear she's off the market. She's wrapped a certain way. Everybody knows she's betrothed. Nobody touches her. Nobody comes for her. No dowries, and no suitors come to the door. Now, once the bridegroom gets the word from his dad that your house is ready to receive a bride, and he gets to sign off by mom and dad, he then sends a heralder to the father of the bride and tells them, use the dowry, prepare a venue. We're going to have the celebration. Oh, here is a dress. Since I've not seen her in X amount of time, please put this robe on her so I will be able to recognize her when I come. So the bride never selects the gown that she wears. The bridegroom does. Just like in your faith, who gave you, Mr. and Mrs. Christian, your robe of righteousness? Was it you? Or was it Messiah, your bridegroom?
Wow.
Keep listening. Keep listening, because this is where we got to stop doing the stuff we do to understand the intention of the Father. So now, once the bridegroom has been sending back his heralder, remember the story of the 10 virgins? Behold, the bridegroom comes, and they got to get their lamps ready. Everybody gets that idea. Messiah made it very clear. Once that happens, he explains to them, I'm coming back, have everything set up, dad-in-law. Dad-in-law takes the money from the dowry that the young man left to say, I got a tenth. And that's how the father of the bride pays for the wedding. The mom and the dad of the bride don't go in debt with the wedding. It's the groom's responsibility. Oops. Now moving on. Once the father opens the bag that the son-in-law gave, he goes out, gets the venue, he gets the wine, he gets the caterers, he gets the photographer, he gets the canopy, he gets the bed, he gets the honeymoon suite with that capital. Part of it. He keeps some too, because he already get paid. And he sets up everything so that when the groom comes back, he will be able to identify his bride, and all the necessary party favors are done. Now he has been a year, let's just say an average of a year away from his bridegroom, from his bride, his bride, his potential bride. He's not seen her, as it were. They make it no, they don't see each other during this process. Now, here's the catch. They've been gone from each other how long? Anybody know how long have they been separated from each other?
From 9 months to 2 years.
Okay, so we're going to average that out to how long?
A year.
About a year and some change, right? Does everybody agree with that? Are y'all following this? Come on, talk to me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So that's we're going to say 12 months, right? Okay, we'll use 12 months. That's a year. Now watch this. That's before the marriage. Once they get married, they go into the honeymoon suite. They chop it up. They copulate. They have their conjugal visit that consummates the marriage. Whether they get pregnant or not, it doesn't matter. They are in there. They're copulating. They are consummating the marriage. Once they come out of that, both families check out the sheets. We see where the blood is, where the blood is not. After this, something interesting happens. So the Torah teaches that newly married husband shall be free for 1 year to rejoice with his wife. Deuteronomy 24, verse 5. Again, I'm reading from the Jewish Bible. It says, when a man takes a new wife, he shall not enter into military service, nor shall he be charged with any business. He shall be free for his house because he got a new mate for what? How long, y'all? 1 year. And he shall cheer his wife whom he has taken. Come on, pick your lips up pick your chin up. Pick your chin up. Put it back. Just push your chin close to your nose. So ladies in America, y'all have missed out on a whole year of your man cheering you and you cheering him. And this way, when you finally go back out into the world, everybody knows this is Mr. and Mrs. And there is nothing that can come between that bond because y'all had a whole year to make that bond tight. He didn't have to work. That's why in the betrothal process, he was saving up his money to make sure we were supported. You were being with him to build the house that you guys got. He made the house, but you worked with him. He worked with you in your vision for the home you would build inside the house he built. And therefore, you did it together. Everything you did was together. Your first building project was the place that you would reside. You got a whole year. Did y'all know that?
Yes.
Oh, you knew that?
No, I did not.
Yes, I did.
Oh, you knew that. Oh, okay. Did you get a chance to do that?
Not at all, and I need a refund.
She said, I need a refund. Oh, God help me. She said, I need a refund. So here's the catch. How solid can marriages become if they've got that as the start of your marriage? The honeymoon ain't just 10 days. The whole year, you two are building together. Nobody comes into your space unless the both of you are there. No one is being, you're together for an entire year because you're cheering each other. He's celebrating her. She's celebrating him. This is our life. We're building together. Now they got time to talk. What are your plans? What are our plans? How do we get from point A to point B? I already got the vision. I see, I got this. I need your resource. Okay, cool. I got my accounting. Let me pull this up. You're working on everything that you do. So when you guys start business back up, you start up as Mr. and Mrs. in business in the community. And that is a very productive element of marriage by ELOHIM'S design. Now we live in an era and a dispensation that doesn't feel that necessary. But can you see, does anybody, all right, I got 14 minutes for this broadcast is over. Before I touch Friday, if y'all thought this was, wait till Friday when I show you some other stuff. Let me help you with this. The wife's rights are just as important as the husband's right. He has to cheer her for those days, right? Now, the Torah also protects the rights of wives. One of the particular ways that it does is that if a husband wants to change careers, his wife can literally forbid him to do that. So if it means that he will be away from home more often and therefore will not be able to make love to her as often as she would like, she can tell him, baby, you can't take that job that far across the country. See, if it takes away from the wife's food, from her clothing, from her conjugal rights, he cannot diminish her opinion of a decision he's making now that they are one. Now, y'all might think that petty and no big thing, but this is why I tell people in Marriage by ELOHIM'S Design, once you get married, you determine what family members hang out with y'all, the group does, the family, the marriage does. You determine what jobs you both take. You both determine the investments you both make. You both are a team. You are partners. He ain't the one saying you do this, you do that because I said so. She has a voice. Her rights are just as important as the husband's. And the husband, if he is smart, cheering her, will realize the value of who she is and make sure he honors her request, and he submits his ideas to her so she can submit her understanding and her plans for the vision he submitted. She will submit possible ways of getting the vision done to him. That's what submittance is. It's not you submit because you walk 3 steps behind him and to the left. And when he speaks and says, jump like an orangutan, you jump like an orangutan and hoof like a dog. You submit the vision as a man to the woman. Baby, here's what I'm believing. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's the business. Here's the new business I'm thinking about us doing. She then comes back and says, I heard your vision. Here are some ways we can make it happen. Here are some of the problems that could happen with it. Here are some of the positives that could happen with it. I'm giving you and submitting to you my real understanding about this. and let's chat about it. And then you, sir, make the final call and decision, but you will make that decision based on my resource supplying you proper empirical data. That's what submitting yourselves one to another is about. That's what it means when it says, wives, submit yourselves to your own husband. Because right now we got wives submitting their ideas to their own bosses and their own corporate desires. You're submitting ideas of how to make them more efficient and more proficient than you are to your husband's vision at home. And then the reason that women have been given the right to do that in modern day era is because man does not have a darn vision. And resources for vision ooze out of woman. She can't help herself. Girl Scouts want to come in and do Girl Scout cookies, and their daughter's a part of it. Somehow the resource of a mother and a woman starts dealing with how to get the Girl Scout cookies sold. Resource to vision every time. Man is attracted to woman, woman is attracted to man, vision is attracted to resource, and resource is attracted to vision. Oh, let me help you. Woman is resource. Man is vision. Man is attracted to woman. Therefore, vision is attracted to resource. Woman is resource. Woman is attracted to man. Resource is attracted to vision. You can't resource anything but a vision. And you need resource for any vision. That is an indication of Yahweh's instructions for how marriage is done. And to me, beloved, that's got nothing to do with love. All of that is about business.
Yes, amen. I like that plan.
Are you guys learning anything today? I got 12 minutes before this broadcast is over.
Wow.
So you got a thought? Wanda Clark, what you got? 30 seconds, go.
I guess just like the last question that you asked, previous dispensation was the fall. So in this dispensation, if we would follow the Torah, right, as a template for marriage, and what you just explained, as a whole in the world, we wouldn't evolve to where we're at now. That's basically what I got from what you're saying. And then redirecting.
That's one thing you can get from that. There's many things in there, but the bigger thing that you mentioned is we can still impute the instructions of Torah in our marriages, even in the Western Hemisphere. If we start teaching this to our children when they're younger. Because when you talk like this, I teach marriage by Elohim's design. I will not marry a couple. I will not officiate your wedding unless you have been through 6 months of counseling with us, because you need to know the value of this, which is why I tell people don't even propose to the person you think you'd like to marry until you've done this. Ask the person, let them know your intentions, that you'd like them to be the partner for life, and then let them know I'd like us to go through counseling to see if we have longevity compatibility. And then I introduce you to marriage by Elohim's design. And if you make it through marriage by Elohim's design and you both realize what's required to marry in longevity for love, so there's no divorce, you will both then be like, hey, yeah, I want to be your mate. I want to be your partner. Or they'll say, you know what? I don't want to give you, I'm hearing what this says I got to do. I'm not willing to do that with you. You're not the person I want to do that with. And you'll be surprised how many lives we've saved from people connecting with individuals who liked the ideal of being married on whatever fronts they were, legal sex, arranged business scenarios, gold diggers, men and or women, all of that are saved, because if you're telling me you want to get married, you're telling the world these requirements right here you are willing to submit to and die to. You'll be surprised how many men will be like, you know what, man, you know what, you fine. I think I'm realizing now I'm liking the way you look, but to do this, I'm not willing to do that with you. Or a woman will be like, I just felt my biological clock was ticking, and I saw you, and you had the muscles and stuff, and I felt that in my sprite, in my innermost sprite, I just felt the Lord say when you walk by, and I smelled your cologne, and the Lord said, follow that smell, and I just felt that this is the time. So I surely the Lord has taught me something today, and so but now that I'm listening to Marriage by Elohim's Design, I don't think I'm really willing to give you that. You're not the person I'm willing to do that with. And that's why people love this program called Marriage by Elohim's Design. And then there are those who think it's not worth it. I've been on platforms, even as late as Clubhouse, the latest platform. I've been doing this for years, decades. And people are like, well, God don't need you to do all that. God don't need all this. And they're like, well, you know, we live in a world. What's your love language? Ain't no, and I say this, God, please damn this doctrine about love language. That's my official prayer. They got y'all hyped up about my love language. This is my love. It's cute. But don't you dare get married because of some foolishness about a love language. Elohim is love. Read his Torah. Let that be your language. And whatever little unique fetish you have and needs to be catered to, in a year of cheering you, she will figure that out and make sure that what you like and want is desired is always going to be there. Because you now know why you're married. You understand your partnership, and my partner needs this. My partner needs coffee at 7 a.m. every morning. My partner needs a nightcap every night at 11:12. My partner needs a back rub every night at 6:30. My partner needs sex every night at 9 p.m. Whatever your partner needs, you got a whole year to figure it out. Miss me with your love language. And locking yourself into a marriage because he listened to me for a month. See, Marriage by Elohim's Design is going to tell you whether he'll listen to you. He listened to you for a month to get you married. She listened to you for a month to get married because she felt in her sprite that the Lord had spoken if thou if toeth hereth. And he like, oh, God showed me in the vision that she was everything. And so we listen to get what we want. Marriage by Elohim's Design will help you realize whether or not this person is listening to you or trying to get what they want. There's a difference when someone's listening and hearing you, or they are listening to themselves and rationalizing what they got to do to get what they want. Marriage is not about what you want. Marriage is about what has to be. How do I live? How do we live? I need a partner for life, man or woman. And we, Ephesians 5:20 and 21, submit ourselves one to the other. And we running around here talking about all marriage counseling is not the same. Trust me when I tell you. Somebody tells you that you got to do, you know how you got her, right? Yeah. Oh, yes, ma'am. You know how you got her, right? Yes, sir. Well, what you did to get her, you got to do to keep her. That's a lie. From the pit of hell, on fire, it still smells of brimstone. because life changes. So what I did today, she will be totally intolerant of what I did today 10 years from now.
That's true.
Very.
New template.
And we have to infuse that template, and it has to start with our children. That's why my campaign is have your children sit with you during your times of Shabbat. Learn Torah. Let this stuff become introduced to their psyche, so that by the time they get ready to get married, they're like, I'm not ready. I don't have a house yet. She can say, I'm not ready. I've not really committed myself to resourcing my father. How's my relationship with my dad or my authority figure in my home? Can I be, watch this, someone who can work with an authority figure and not worry about being chopped down as if I don't matter? And if I should get pushback, are they pushing back because the idea doesn't work, or they're just simply trying to oppress a woman? Torah covers every possible issue we could struggle with when it comes to issues of marriage. Do y'all think y'all want to talk more about this on Friday? Because I have yet to scratch the surface.
Oh, please.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Does it resonate with y'all? I know some of y'all just heard it, but it's like, whoa, I didn't think about that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Ready. It's still
100%.
And so if we would have gotten married under the concepts of Torah, we'd probably still be married. You would not have the type of bankruptcy and or the divorce rate that we do have, because we didn't, watch this, what Yahweh put together that no man put asunder. We thought because they was in church that was God putting us together. No. Well, they were saved. The devil go to church.
Thank you.
That part.
New wineskins.
So what you have to do is understand. We have to unlearn what we learned. And what gets me about our society today is that I've gone over time. It's 4 o'clock. I gotta go. All right. We especially within Christendom. And I mean this, especially within Christendom. Even my time when I was in Islam, they at least, if they didn't know something, they would admit it and say, I didn't know that, and they would go search it out. In Christendom, we'd be like, if you ask people, did you know that? Yeah, I knew that. Really? I knew that, and then move on. I ain't joking. I'm so serious. I am so serious. I got veins coming up my neck with that. And we act like we know, because if you don't act like you know, then you can't appear to be someone of importance in the kingdom. And the truth is, if you don't know, say you don't know, that gives Yahweh opportunity to teach you, because we are a people who don't know what we don't know, while telling everybody that we do know what we don't know. And have never gotten with the Father, who wants to show us what we need to know. We don't even know what we need to know. Talking about we know everything. Fighting with people, arguing with people, raising up standards. You don't even know what the standard is. Because you heard somebody say that and it sounded good in a 13-second ministry ad. You don't get married by saying, oh, what you did to get her, you got to do to keep her. Well, first off, when you got her, you was looking at her butt. In Torah, you didn't look at her butt. You looked at her spreadsheet. You looked at her production. You looked at what she was good at doing. And like, yo, I need that resource forever in my life. And whatever she looked like was secondary. Now, granted, you want to make sure you do take a look at the face, because if it need to think about the babies, think about the babies. My God, think about the babies. But that wasn't why you got married. You didn't get married for looks. You got married for works. You got married for what would be the efficient way, productive way for my business and or us to be an impact in our commonwealth community. Everybody in our community marries the same way. Watch this. You don't have adultery that way. You always got exception to rule, which is why there's a law. But when I know who I'm hooked up with and what we are doing is not like what anybody else is doing, baby, I don't need nothing else. All I want is her. I can't wait to get home. She sent me on a shopping run on my way home from work. She said, go get this from the store. I'm running in that store so fast because I know every time I do a task for her, she gonna do a task for me. Oh my goodness. I'm walking by the strawberry aisle. I'm getting the honeydews. I'm getting the melons. I'm like, if I grab these melons, I can exchange them for those melons. See, that's how men think, ladies. Y'all gonna learn today. Some of y'all acting so deep, like, oh, he's so carnal. Okay. Mm-hmm. That. And that's why he at the strip club. Just gonna put that out there.
That's true.
That's why he at the strip club. Because you let the church tell you to wear that polyester. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna leave that alone. And brothers, you wonder why she ain't talking to you? Because every time she gives you a task to do, you shoot her down. And now when someone else who is literally illegally sweating her, even though they are illegal in their sweat for her, they listen to her. And you wonder why all of a sudden she got all these tennis matches, and now she's so happy to drive the van for the carpool, you know, because she can be heard outside of her home. Yes. You wonder why she's taking the big jobs because somebody at the job, boss man or woman, realizes her resource helped their bottom line exponentially increase. But you can't listen to her because you say, I'm the man, I tell us what we're gonna do. That's a dumb idea. That don't make no sense. Girl, go over there and sit down and be quiet. Just fix my food. Is you barefoot? Is you in the kitchen right now? Come on in the bedroom. Hurry up. You, dear sir, gonna have a problem.
Eugene got one too.
So when you understand that Torah, this is Tawanda Clark's point, and we're going to shut this down because I said 4 o'clock. You got to understand that this Torah is the way for you to make an ironclad marriage. Are there exceptions to rule? Yes. But what Yahweh put together, let no man put asunder. Did you get married the way Yahweh said to get married? Your actual answer is no. Because you didn't take a year off from work to be with your boo when you got married. I met someone, you know, I'm always running into people, but, you know, listen, Zion, you don't, listen, I know what we do in our culture today. I know what we do in our culture today, especially the Western Hemisphere, and I particularly in the United States of America. And what we do is we do what we see on MTV, TV, HBO, and whenever it was, and we do the dating thing. Dating is the most damaging mechanism to marriage. I can prove it through my caseload of counseling and my case files of divorces, because the dating gave you chance to lie at the grandest level and suck your potential candidate into a false plate of reality. And then once you got married, the eyelashes came off, the makeup you beat yourself with came off, not just the part that came off on his shirt. The the smiling face and the sweet smelling cologne you put on, brother, that came off. Your nastiness about your drawers not being clean and your socks stinking and your shoes never being put up right and your triflingness and your urinating all over the toilet and the pool, all that comes out. But you didn't do that while dating.
Yep.
And you have no idea how that affects forward progress going forward. Very few can recover from the unveiling of who I married. I gotta go.
I just want to a question. Can I go back into your marriage counseling?
I cannot, because I'm still on cue. I got Wanda Clark, and I cut her question off.
Talk about your marriage counseling session, man. Just messing with me. But you did a great job.
Yahweh be praised. Listen, marriage by Elohim's design. People hear 6 months. Apostle, you won't marry us for 6 months? I said no. Y'all met each other stargazing at Starbucks. No, I will not marry. Well, I want it. Not gonna happen. 6 months minimum, and that depends on your age. And let me give y'all a clue. It's the young people that I'll give 6 months to. It's the old people that need 2 daggone years, because you got to unlearn a whole bunch of foolishness you thought you knew because you've been married 3 times. You still think you smart. If you were so smart,
makes sense,
you wouldn't be doing it 3. You got 3. This is the 3rd time. How smart are you?
Horrible.
This is so rich.
I've been married 3 times. I know marriage. I almost said something. Listen. You need to be quiet. I've been married 4 times. I know marriage. You so stupid. You are the one that needs the 2.5 years of counseling before you ever bring somebody else now into your world. Because you ain't figured it out these last 3 times. Oh, well, I got all this experience now. I know what not to do, and I know what to do better now. No, you don't. No, you don't. It means you still have not found the truth that makes you free. So let me sit you down for 6 months. And here's the catch, y'all. If we sit you down for 6 months with the Torah, marriage by Elohim's design, you will not waste 6 months. If this candidate in 6 months and you do not stay together, you now know what to look for in the next person. I can't tell you how many people we have split up who thought they wanted to be together and then came back not long after that because they understood what marriage by Elohim's design said. And the next person they brought back and said, I want to get married. Can you counsel us? Sure. And that marriage works. Still works. I only have 1 divorce on my record. 1. You know why? That person played the game from beginning to end, and I can't get into what that is. And well, he's paying for that now. 1 divorce, and I protect that. Now, you want to be married, or you want to be popular in society? You want to be the socialites, or do you want to have a life that your children can turn around and call you blessed? Even if you've been married before. See, the thing we don't realize is that even if you've been married before, some of y'all talk about, I've been married 3 times. I know marriage. I understand marriage better than you think. And see, something I get it. All right, right. Stop. Chill. Even the woman at the well who was married 5 times, she didn't get it right until Messiah told her, and the one you thinking about marrying right now, he ain't the one. Oh, she met the Torah in flesh. All right, I said 4 o'clock. I got to go, y'all. Moderators, tell us why we're here.
Shalom. Thank you all for being here with us today in the preceding word. Don't forget, we broadcast every Monday Wednesday and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to have access to today's recording, you can do so by going over to Facebook at BWJ Ministries, where you can access today's recording along with many more. Please do join us tonight as we open up for our weekly Bible studies, and that will be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can join us tomorrow for the Bible Book Club, where we continue our long and exhaustive study of the book of Genesis, and that will be at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also to note, we are here to open up our Sabbath studies at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, and we continue those studies at 11 a.m. And if you would like to, we would extend that invitation for you to come and join us for our Sunday service, which is our morrow after Sabbath service at 10:15 a.m. every Sunday morning, where we broadcast live from Facebook. So much for being part of this experience and journey. We will be here Friday for part 3. Please do take a re-listen and recap over today's discussion, and also do share and make sure you follow the Preceding Word Club. Shalom. Thank you, Apostle.
And Aleichem Shalom to you as well. So glad that we had opportunity to share just a little bit about what we understand Yahweh is desiring for us to do and asking for us to be like. So when we talk about, as we note with this particular class and Preceding Word, the structure of the Torah Observant family, there are so many compartments, and you hear me say often layers to this that the word completely provides for. The issue is we don't oftentimes like to unlearn what we learned and mastered because we were told to learn it, because we mastered what we were told to learn. And that's a lot to do. And now you're telling me I got to unlearn that to learn something new. I ain't got time. No, it makes sense, but and we leave it. Zion, when truth speaks, wisdom will listen. If you find yourself listening to the Torah, you find yourself stopping from your point of view and viewing in on what the word says, make it your business that in all you're getting, you get that understanding. At least hear it out and give it a chance to speak to you. Doesn't ask you for a whole bunch, doesn't ask you to hurt yourself. It just asks you to pay attention. My job as Apostle, my name is Apostle P.W. Jones. My job is to share the gospel of Yeshua HaMashiach, our Elohim, all through the world. Yeshua HaMashiach of our Elohim, all throughout the globe and the world. And I hope that you guys have been edified. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh, who is our Elohim. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to share with your people. Again, your word proceeds. We hold it. We glean to it. We clamor to it. We desire more of it. I ask you, Father, that those we follow in Clubhouse and those we follow in the other social media platforms of IG and Facebook and all the other places I can't even begin to state, I ask you that our relationships and our knowledge and our study toward your word grows stronger, bonds better because of your Torah, not our religious viewpoint, but what your writ says, and help us to understand it in rightness. In the mighty, in the matchless name of Yeshua HaMashiach, we all pray and we all say, Amen. All right, everybody, this call will end in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Thank you for tuning in today. I hope that this message has been a blessing to your very life and your soul, and more importantly, your walk with the King. Well, we have come to the end. I hope that you would consider becoming either a partner with us in ministry, or if you're not already a kingdom citizen, consider becoming one. By doing that, you can sow into this ministry so that we are able to continue to teach this type of ministry at a grand scale. Join us on all of our social media platforms and visit our webpage to make your contributions sure. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Shalom Aleichem.